what did your organisations discover about the effect of domestic abuse, wider reporting trends across the pandemic period?
I think it reinforced the notion that victim survivors are clearly very good at managing and dealing with risk. And what we're talking about is that where there are situations that increase risk for them, they will adapt to that situation. So as I mentioned, during lockdowns, you're trapped with the perpetrator. It's very difficult to have a phone call or to go outside to access support. So you're going to go to the next best thing, which is going to be the increase in use of chat services or online services or looking at websites and finding out information. As the possibility of going outside increases with the easing of the lockdowns, then the risk assessment will modify accordingly. Now yes. I can go outside, now I can go and talk to someone, now I can get a referral to services. And that's what survivors do. So once either the survivor or the perpetrator is able to freely leave the house, then they will take on the first opportunity to come forward. I think probably the most problematic aspect has to do with the statistics by the police, because there is a significant question around why survivor services are seeing this movement that the police is not seeing. The figures remain flat. And that actually talks about how different groups, for different reasons, do not have trust in coming forward to police. If you add to that the fact that restrictions are changing and the rules are constantly changing throughout this period, there's no clarity around where domestic abuse survivors are sitting in the level of priorities that the police and other statutory services have at that moment, it's very easy to understand why we're seeing fluctuations as survivors are managing risk, but the police are not seeing those fluctuations. And for me, perhaps the key thing about this is that police being a primary, first responder in situations of high risk, it begs the question as to what measures should have been put in place at that point to enable police to continue performing that function. I'm just going to finish by saying that, of course, different groups are going to be affected by all this differently. Our beneficiaries, for example, are migrant women. They're subject to immigration control. They know it's not safe to come forward to statutory services because of data sharing and the involvement of immigration enforcement in their cases, not for safeguarding measures, but really for enforcing borders that might have consequences for them or their children in a variety of ways. But this is replicated across other groups. We know that deaf and disabled survivors, for example, have a massive struggle both with interpretation and also with being believed by statutory services. We know that the LGBTQ community is going to experience its own barriers. And perhaps the one thing that is missing here is a better understanding how these groups experience the situation in different ways. And more importantly, what measures need to be put in place to make sure that those who are most at risk can have the level of support they need to come forward.